Hey guys, welcome to Get an A in TOK, where I tell you how to get an A. And no, wait, today I'm going to talk to someone who got a 45 in IB. I'm not going to change the name of my channel, but I'm really excited to talk to Victoria. And Victoria was a student at my school, which will not be named. And it's kind of the Voldemort of schools. No, I'm just kidding. But she got an IB45. I will let her tell you what school she's at now. Just kidding. You can just look at her shirt. That's not a flex at all. And she's just one of the greatest people that I know. And she's also a great student, and I love people who you're just so happy to see them succeed. So anyway, we're going to talk about TOK because she nailed it. I read her essay. It's so good. And I said, hey, could you give some tips to all of my friends and family, you're not family, on get an A in TOK? And because I would love to hear what you did. So she's got 3 tips that she's going to share with you about how to succeed in TOK globally. So not just your essay, not just your exhibition, but everything. And so Victoria, I just want to jump straight into the question. So your first thing that you mentioned was about research, and every single person on this channel, that's what they want. Can you give me research? Can you give me research? Your approach was totally different. How did you do your research specifically for your awesome TOK essay?
Yeah, so for my essay, I basically, instead of going out and trying to find examples of scientists discovering something, which is kind of hard to do,
Absolutely.
especially with areas of knowledge and how broad they are, and just trying to find a good example. And of course, you don't want to repeat what's in the textbook, otherwise they will say that's not too special. I basically try to play along with what the IB intended for the whole diploma program to be, which is like this, interweb of so many things that always connects back to TOK, CAS, all those core things. So I guess this is the biggest tip of trying to approach research, is to not isolate TOK to just TOK. And what that means is when you're in other classes, like in econ or English or whatever, think of ways in which TOK concepts are applied to that. Because in all of these subjects, we're still pursuing things like truth. We're still trying to make claims that are justifiable, all those sort of things. And from that, I was able to use lots of really great examples that were unique, but not completely out there and not understandable to the graders or even other readers that are your age.
Yeah, because I've been helping some students figure things out for this year, and certain prompts, every single student in the world is going to use the Stanford Prison experiment. Everybody is. And while it's cool and it works, you are saying you don't have to find just those TOK examples. Your teachers in other classes can do the research for you. And I love that, because it also means you're paying attention in class. Yay. So yeah, that's great. So Victoria's first lesson is use research from all of your classes. That's great. So second thing you talked about, I think, is indicative of the highest scoring papers, and that's about the TOK terminology. Could you tell us your second lesson?
Yeah, so the second thing I talked about with Mr. Pat was to be aware of terminology, whether that be when you're writing their essay or just like engaging in the subject matter of TOK. Terminology is really important because it also checks in with you to see if you're actually understanding what TOK is all about.
Exactly.
Because oftentimes kids, or I guess like young adults, they don't understand TOK and they keep on complaining, oh my God, it's like the worst thing on the planet, because you don't take the time to actually define what it is that you're learning. Because, for example, justified true belief, like, well, what does it mean to be justified? What does it mean to be something true? And what is a belief?
I had a student ask me this week, Mr. Pat, what does it mean to believe? I'm like, well, I'm teacher. Sorry. Go ahead. That was the highlight of my week.
But like, okay, from that itself, like, and when you're trying to find definitions for big things like that, like what does it mean to believe? Sometimes you can find it through examples, and that's like learning from experience as well, all those sort of things. And that's why I would say TOK is much easier if you actually like understand the words. Really.
Yeah. And then I would just throw there, the opposite is also true. Teachers were really good at knowing when students are using the terminology in a bad way. And it just, if you include like the word justification, certainty, and JTB all in one sentence, it's just very clear that you don't know those words. You can use them, and anybody can know those words, but do you I'm sorry, anybody can use those words, but do you actually know what they are? And so, yeah, I think that's so important, because if we're using the TOK terminology, you're also always going to be on topic. You're always going to be focused on knowledge and not explaining some random thing that happened. Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much for that, Victoria. And so finally, your last piece of advice that you were going to share with us was about just how to succeed in TOK as a whole. And I love this. This is just a great response. So go ahead and share, how do you get an A in TOK?
All right. The only way to really succeed in TOK is to let it challenge you and to seek that challenge yourself. And that seems like, oh my God, I'm already like burdened with the world on my shoulders to try get a 45 and get into Yale or wherever. But really, it's a hard experience. It's very difficult for sure. But complaining about it will just box your view of TOK to be everything negative, which isn't really what it's intended to be. And so when teachers give, for example, when in my time, when my TOK teacher gave examples that required us to read like three articles, and like we could choose one of them, and he would sometimes give like easy, medium, hard. And like easy wasn't so easy, but like it's a bit more straightforward. Yeah. I would always like read the hard ones, not because I was an overachiever. Well,
not because I'm an okay, I'll let that slide.
but because also like trying to read harder material, even if you don't understand it first, because honestly, many times I didn't understand it first.
Oh, sure. And as teachers, we don't care. I sometimes have to twice. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, but it forces you to engage in it, and it forces you to have questions and ask, okay, so in this sort of like multiverse theory, how on earth does that apply to TOK? And where is my uncertainty coming from? Like, all those sort of things. And engaging yourself and trying to be interested in TOK is so much more of a better and helpful mindset than just doing TOK just to graduate. Because, number one, like if nothing else, those 3 extra points are helpful.
Yeah. And I don't think that we realize that until like halfway through grade 12. People think, oh, it's EE and TOK. It's just 3 points. That's basically half a class. But when you're trying to get into Yale, 3 points is make or break.
Yeah, exactly. And I think also if you're trying to get into a place like Yale, like this is also like college tips, I guess.
Yeah, do it. That's great.
You also need to love learning.
Yeah.
They won't accept kids that hate learning and complain, because everyone here, like, frankly, everyone here, I don't know about other Ivies, but here everyone loves learning in a nerdy way, like in a cool nerdy way, I'd say. And it doesn't mean that we're all like very booky or whatever, but we're curious about the world, curious to like challenge our ways of thinking. And even though honestly, when I do readings, I really just don't understand it first, having the practice from TOK has actually made my college life much easier at Yale, So think of it that way as well. Like if you're like, oh my gosh, I really hate philosophy, think about the benefits you'll reap later.
Yeah. You'll be everybody else that you work with. There you
go.
So what I hear you saying there is, if you want to get an A in TOK, don't try to get an A. Actually try to learn. Don't try to get a 10 on the rubric, but just write a killer paper that you are interested in reading, that challenges you, and that if you can, you kind of enjoy doing. And that if you do that, you will passively create something that scores really well. Is that kind of how you're feeling?
Exactly. Yeah. Because the point is, of course, like partly to get good grades, but escape that mindset and just let it consume you and be consumed by it and enjoy the process.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, hey, you are on break and I don't want to take up so much of your time. So guys, I really appreciate what Victoria is doing here. She's sharing just so that you guys can all do a great job in TOK. If you have questions, you could post something down in the comments. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe. Victoria, thank you so much from Connecticut. It was great to see you guys. Have a great day. Please watch my other videos. Bye.